And boy, oh boy, oh boy, y'all are in for a treat tonight because unbelievable. You have seen some of the most egregious situations happen. Yeah, yeah, we must say we've seen some egregious things happen here. So we have to point them out to you to bring you guys up to speed to what's going on, get you guys up to snuff. Now, Colin Cowherd has re-signed his deal with Fox Sports 1. But Colin Cowherd is moving. He's already moved. I think he's here or he's getting ready to get here, but I know he's bought a home already here in Chicago downtown area. So Colin Cowherd is moving to Chicago, in case he hasn't told you already. Zeno's going to be the one to break that news. Colin Cowherd is moving to Chicago. That's right. Now, we're going to have to get you guys up to snuff with what's happening. Yes, we do. That's our job. Our job is to keep the people informed. Now, a lot of people will inform you. Go. Why would they do this? Why would Fox, who put mostly all of their shows in California, all their New York shows, they only have like one. But they want like basically all their major shows in California. Why in the world did they agree to go to the Midwest, a place that they don't really go? But they do have the Big Ten. Fox have the Big Ten, and the Big Ten is there. So why wouldn't they have a show there? That's what Colin thought. But it was because of Colin Cowherd's wife. Because of his wife, he was ready to make the move because she wanted to move. Her sister lives in Chicago. She wants to be in Chicago. So this became a big thing. Oh, yeah. Cino got the details. He got the details. He don't fail. He got the details. Look at old Colin. Yes, I know about Malcolm. Trying not to talk about this situation. So that's his wife. Since 2010, he's been married. He got divorced from his first wife in 2007, married this woman in 2010, and they've been together ever since. Now, being on ESPN, having the voice for radio and the voice to pull it off on television, he basically brought a radio-friendly atmosphere to the internet. Now, here's where it's going to get interesting, people. And this is why I'm glad you're here. Because this is made for you. I decided to do this just for you and you only. Now, everyone will sit there and say and make their own interpretations of it. Like what is important, what isn't important, how people should move, blase, blase, blah. Right? And what is egregious and what isn't. Now, hold on here. I'm trying to do something. so that the people be here would understand exactly what is going on. Because the people are lost. Now, oh yeah, so if you're on my Patreon, we do have coming up the Epstein list right there. We got the Epstein Island visitors list. These are people who visited the island. It don't mean they did anything wrong. But there's some notable omissions off of this list. It's a bit crazy. Well, if you look at the scenarios of what's happening, it's quite obvious that whoever these people are, they don't get it. And that's quite all right. You saying you hope he get rid of Jason. Why would he get rid of Jason? Okay, there we go. I was wondering what was happening with the actual lighting here. Yes, Jason is a problem. I don't like his face, his voice, or his views. He irritates. But for some people, that works. Just don't work for me. Well, the truth is this. Colin Cowherd had basically been number one or the number two show that they had. Okay? So when you see the issue between Fox Sports 1 and Colin Cowherd, that's going to bring a whole new audience and a new ears to the situation. Let me tell you this. Colin Cowherd, right, decided without discussing anything with Fox Brass to develop a podcast network called The Volume. And because of that, when they found out like what he was actually doing, teaming up with iHeart and basically putting out this content, it was explosive. Now, on the surface, you would think everything is great. Fox Sports 1 loves him. They never says nothing bad about him. They give him everything he wants. He believes it's all love. No one would say anything other than, right? But here's the news. They can't stand him. They're so pissed he created The Volume and they weren't getting a piece of it. And he went around them and they were so aggravated. Like, how could he do this? This is our competitors. We're going against them. And this guy went and did this behind our backs. We look like fools. So it was quite embarrassing for the network. So when they came in to renegotiate his contract before that, they had a long discussion with him about how they were going to move forward. Like, okay, we're going to have to think about how we're going to move forward with you because we're not going to be the platform you use to promote the volume and boost your show up and then leave us here looking stupid. We're not going to do that. And Colin was like, oh, well, I had no intention. This was something I built on the side. I didn't know I needed to run by Fox. You know, he was like, you didn't come to us to partner. You went with other people to partner. You know, like he was like, I just didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket. And you guys kind of wasn't in the podcasting space. I thought they were two separate entities. You know, that's how he looked at it. He didn't think this would be a problem for anyone, let alone Fox. So when it was all said and done, everyone had something to say. So at the end of the day, people were like, oh, okay. Now I feel like we need to have something to say. When before they said nothing. Now everybody wants to speak up and be a spokesperson for something. When before they want nothing to do with something. Why is it always that way too? The ones that speak up, always behind the 8-ball. Now Eric Shanks, who's one of the executives at Fox Sports 1, now he's like the only one trying to really hold his job. Eric, he has been trying to balance the ship and undo what Charlie has screwed up. Totally effing up the company by banging employees, you know, promising things there, and they trying to clean up the culture there. They were thrown back a bit by this ruse that is known as the Colin Cowherd maneuver. He's not allowed in his contract to maneuver or even mention the volume on his platform on the herd. As long as he's on Fox, he cannot mention the herd. If he is fined. They're definitely fining him money for being mentioned. Now, with that being said, there have been tons of other ways people have moved forward. Rather productively. He's found a workaround. If Draymond Green does a podcast show and he says something and it becomes a topic of discussion, then they would bring it up. But he can't use Nightcap or Club Shay Shay because Shannon Sharp's name is taboo, or Skip Bayless is taboo at Fox. They won't mention it. Now, here's the news. What about Burchard? Burchard is doing exactly what they want on First Things First. That show is protected because Nick Wright's relationship with Colin Cowherd. See, Colin has them by the balls because they can't afford to lose Colin Cowherd. So they paid him what they didn't want to pay him, but he got them by extortion. He really can come in there and just says, I think we should do a show on the moon. Do the herd from space? No one's ever done that. We'll do the whole podcast show from space. Fox will be the first one. It's a great idea, right? They'd be, oh, whatever you need, Colin. You want us to fly you out? Yeah, we'll do it. I hate this SOB. So that's how it's really going. They don't like Colin. They have to like Colin. See, this is what being forced look like. There are so many dirty, foul ways they're being promoted and things are being pushed with the narratives. All of these people that's in the game right now are saying all of these different things. They're not saying anything positive. They're not saying anything creative. All they're saying is what's not important in said scenario. I remember they had, his name was Bill. He was one of the, what they call him, he was a showrunner for Fox. Bill had a whole different philosophy. He didn't think radio television shows was it. When they went to the debate format, it was Jamie Horowitz who had this idea. Well, The Herd wasn't really a debate show. It was really just a radio show. Just two people sharing different opinions. There's not a shouting match. And they didn't want to be undisputed. Undisputed shot to number one on the show, and it was their flagship program, with Colin being number two. Then, first things first, end up beating that show out. Once they changed the format. Now, everyone believes they have the secret sauce to make a successful show. It's not easy to get the public's attention and then be able to basically use it. They let this guy have a show that came on in the morning. Fox Sports didn't even care about him and just let him parade his show around as if they gave a damn. They were like, oh yeah, okay, go ahead, you do it. So I'm telling you, flat out, they did not care about Colin Cowherd. Not one bit. They love Colin ratings and what he brings to the network. Now they need him. They're not happy about him going to Chicago and wanting to pull that move, but it's what he want to do, and they just got to go along with it. Colin has them by the balls because they need him. They have no other show that has that staying power. They have two flagship shows that they can stick, one for the East Coast, one for the West Coast. And now they're about to lose that to go to the Midwest. But Colin is like, look, who cares where I live? The show is being done remotely. Mostly people are at home or somewhere else, and they never even see each other. Everybody's doing the streaming, and they're sending the thing back and forth. So it makes no sense. Like, there's no thing where I gotta be at the studio. He's like, sometimes if we have something special, I might fly into the studio be there for a week, record some shows live, then go back home, and I could do this show from Chicago. And they was like, do you need us to build your set? We'll do this for you, Colin. What do you need? So they've been quite happy. He's been quite happy with how the studio's been treating him. Cowherd is like, wow, they rolling out the red carpet. So he's assuming, like, damn, they like this thing. But they really don't. They really don't. They can't stand him because he has a following of his own. He can get up and move whenever he wants. They don't want to lose him back to ESPN, so they had to pay him a fortune just to retain him. And now, since they let all the other ones go, and they got to rebuild from scratch, we don't know, besides Keyshawn, I don't think he's going nowhere as much as they paid for him. You ain't going to let him go, so you'll keep Keyshawn. You'll probably rebuild around a couple other guys who you resign. But all those guys that was on one-year deals, like Michael Irvin and all the rest of those guys, they might be out. But the Carlton show, that was gone. That was just to fill in a slot while they needed it. They was like, well, we need something to fill in the slot in the time. So we'll go to the Cowherd show, put it in this time slot and see what happens. And so we saw what happened. There's so many deceptive practices being done out here, you know, where people are getting stuck in celebrity. What I call it being blinded by the light of celebrity. It's a lot of it. Oh yeah, they come on, they love it. As long as it's a celebrity or somebody they know, a common face, they're all in. Can't tell them nothing. Can't change their mind. Can't do anything. Colin's show is good. I mean, he's good at what he does. Like, to me, he doesn't even need a co-host. He's that good at what he does. So I don't even look at Colin and say, well, Colin, you need to do this, or Colin, you should do that. I don't even get involved. When I look at Colin, I see someone who understands and gets it. So you want to be surrounded by someone who gets it. You know what I'm saying? He has the perfect voice for radio. He'd be, welcome to the herd. I'm Colin Cowherd here, and we're discussing. He breaks it all down. Is LeBron James the greatest player we've ever seen on a Tuesday night? He just might be. Coming up. So he was perfect, okay? He was perfect for the role he was picked to be in. The only problem that you have is that there's certain people who don't believe in the systematic ways of doing things. Like the mannerisms are totally different. I believe in doing something all the way. Don't do it halfway. Do it all the way. As people are going more and more into these podcast shows, they forget about one commonality, which is the main commonality. Be interesting. Stop doing what's on Twitter. That's the most pathetic thing you could ever do. I'm going to tell you right now. Stop going by what everybody is talking about on Twitter. Because everyone's not talking about it on Twitter. It's just people who are on Twitter talking about it. That's it. So get that out your head right now. That's part of the problem. Be part of the solution. Because the problem is what kills you. I know this dude, man, spent so much money on a podcast show trying to make, he did good. He wasn't thinking about the overhead. I'm like, dude, you didn't play in the NBA. You know, you don't have a shoe deal. You don't have all this stuff lined up. You're going to need, now you got to try to go and get all this stuff after you done bought all this equipment. And just thinking, oh man, we're going to talk about this topic and that topic. Man, I was a AAU coach. I played ball. They don't want to hear me talk about it. No, they didn't. They didn't. He didn't listen. So because he didn't listen, he ended up in the same scenario as everyone else. And he forgot to do the work. The content has to mean something, brother. If your content don't mean anything, then you're stuck. This is what I try to tell people constantly. Work on getting better content. Your content should stand for something. Because if it don't, then what is you doing it for? 100%. If I sit there and say, hey, I'm going to get all this equipment. I'm going to get a studio. I'm going to have all this stuff. And that's going to take me to the top. Yep. That's going to be it for me. I'm going to be a superstar. Yep, that's where I'm going. That's the only way you can get to the top. And we all know that ain't true. Because this is what you get when you don't get to the top. When you don't have all the equipment. You get one of these. Organically. So I would have been at 1 million by now if they didn't come in and say, let's derail this man. But see, this is a real one. This is what they used to look like when they first gave them out. They looked real. And it was an accomplishment to have it. Do you know why? It was such an accomplishment to have that. Because it set you apart from everybody else. It's a lot of falsehoods out here. A lot of falsehoods. And then, yeah, it did change a little bit because everybody's scope has changed. But you have to think differently. Everybody keeps thinking YouTube, YouTube, YouTube. Instead of thinking, what can they do with their YouTube? See, I always thought, what could I do with my YouTube? And how could that benefit me? And it benefited me a lot. You see, The structure in America is different than a lot of structures around the country. And you find that out when you're outside of the country. Now, getting back to Cowherd, he built a podcast network. And his podcast network is one of the best that's going right now. He signed Shannon Sharp, and Shannon Sharp and Nightcap were the two biggest shows on his network. Was crushing it. But now he's got to pay this money in negotiation to keep, Shannon Sharp and them. Their valuation now is built up to be like, hey, we're doing big numbers here. We're doing King Man type numbers. So if we're doing that, then obviously there's something going on here. Now, we're not going to Bangladesh it like Gil, but they're going to make sure that the content means something. Right, Colin is always wrong. He says a lot of stuff wrong, bro. A lot of stuff. But this is not about right or wrong right now. This is about what the needle is doing. Do you think Gilbert Arenas is right? I was just talking to him on Instagram. He arguing with what's coming out of Kobe and Shaq's mouth. I'm like, how are you arguing with that? They just said it. You just heard it. You gonna call it fake, but it's real. But he looks for something to be argumentative so that he can have a debate show. Well, I try to say, let's debate something real. He's more influenced by theatrics than being real. And whatever works for him. That just don't work for me. You ever had a friend or somebody you knew that just liked to be right all the time? That's me. Nobody likes to be right more than me. Hey, they sent me a check for $21. I'll take it. I will take it. 21 bucks. Most people be like, $21 ain't nothing. Hey, somebody gave me $21, I'll be all right. I don't even know what it's from. But I'll take it. I get these little checks all the time. 34, 37. One time it was like 100 and something. I didn't know what it was for, where it came from, but I was like, all right, we'll take it. Every time they come with a little bitty check, I'll take it. It all adds up. Definitely in the They always know. Now, it's the gist of things that we need to be more leery of. The Draymond Green show podcast is on the volume. So let's say Draymond Green show or Nightcap, they do something like he'll mention Draymond Green show, but he won't mention the volume, like his own podcast show. He has his own podcast show on the volume, which doesn't do better than most. It does great, but not like other shows. I admire what he built as far as building a podcast network, and he did it under the nose of Fox Sports 1. To me, that's genius. That's some pimping there, baby. That's some space age pimping. And he's right. I wouldn't have brought my network over to them either. You know why I wouldn't have brought it to them? Because they would have found a way to ruin it. Why would you take your baby over to somebody that's not going to appreciate your work? I'm not going to take my precious baby and give it to you, and you decide to fire me or whatever, and then put my show in oblivion. And you're eating off of it, and you don't even know what you're doing. You're not even in the podcast space. You know, it's like, what is Fox don't really do podcast shows? So what are we talking about here? I want to do this and create this with the people who are in the space, and it's not interfering with what I do here on the herd. It's been so draining, though. I'm telling you, it's so draining trying to explain to people how these things work. A show has to hit certain, marks that they have set. And it looked like a lot of people liked the facility, but they just didn't get it. A lot of the normal people didn't get it. Plus, the launch was terrible because it came in replacing Undisputed, and it still couldn't stay around because people knew Skip and Shannon. They got promoted through Skip and Shannon. Here, you just got a show mixed with a bunch of guys that was on other shows you knew about but just didn't really watch. You knew about Emmanuel Ocho, but it wasn't a market-led-in plan. And since 2016, Fox Sports hasn't really had a plan. They just been going by ear because they just kept firing guys for sexual harassment. Jamie Horowitz, who built this thing up and got the thing off the ground and running, he was gone for sexual harassment. He was the first one gone for some cases back with ESPN. Then that flips. That goes in a whole different direction, and everybody's looking crazy, and it's nuts. Fox Sports 1 hasn't had a real directional plan since Jeremy Horowitz has been there. They haven't really replaced him with anybody that knows what they're doing. Charlie Dixon just likes his butt kissed. Yeah, I'm Charlie. Come on over and have drinks at my house. Charlie, gotta get my ducks in. So Charlie, having people come to his house, hang out with Charlie, and once people start giving you a runaround, then you start to understand exactly what it really truly is. You see, in sports, and everything. When they want to get rid of you, they offer you lower money. And it's insulting the amount. That means they don't want to bring you back. But they don't want to tell you we don't want to bring you back, so they offer you something low. That's why I tried to explain to Gilbert Arenas earlier when he was like, Shaq, they wanted Shaq to take a pay cut. I'm like, they might have told him that. If you want to stay, you're going to have to take a pay cut. Now, who the hell would agree to that? So you know he's not going to agree to a pay cut. So they're going to trade him. That was all a move to say, we're trading you. Like Shaq said, he's arguing with me, what Shaq said out of his own mouth. I spoke to Shaq, but Shaq said he demanded a trade. I'm like, that's partial. He didn't come in and just say, I want to demand a trade. He wanted to demand a trade for a reason. They gave him that option so he could save face of them wanting to get rid of him. He was hurt. Dr. Buss called and said, look, your agent, okay, is showing on the court, and I want to let you go out with some grace. So, you know, you either can take this pay cut or whatever, but I don't want to lose this guy in Kobe Bryant. I'm starting over. I'm starting over young. So Shaq was pissed. His ego was hurt. He felt like after all he just did, they just got back to the finals again. You know, he still got a couple of more runs in him. But it was so much drama going on that Kobe wasn't going to go through that again. So he made a decision. That's either Shaq or me. Right then and there, they made a decision. We're keeping Kobe. Phil had to go too. Phil was told, Kobe will be the first option on the team. If you have a problem with that, you can go ahead and, you know, and leave. You know, Phil was like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm out. Phil left. So he hated Kobe guts then. He called him uncoachable, wrote a book about him. Then a couple of years later, they was like, look, we'll pay you. Just come on back. Kobe ain't going to be a problem. We're going to have a sit down with you and Kobe. He don't care about none of that stuff you wrote in that book. He needs you back to be the coach. And that's how he came back. He sat down with Kobe. He was like, man, I don't care about none of that stuff. Well, I'm trying to win. What we got to do to get better. Because the rest of these coaches out here stink, Phil. They stink. They not you. And that's all Phil need to hear for his ego. Oh, well, all right. Well, maybe Kobe has matured. Oh, no, he haven't. But you know you can take it. Other coaches can't deal with it. Sometimes you gotta know when it's the time to move on and when is the time to fall on the sword. Well, you gotta understand, I knew guys in the Lakers organizations for years. Y'all forget, Craig Hodges was in the Lakers organization as an assistant coach when they won the championship. He was there with Tex Winter because he knew the triangle offense and he had to teach it to the players who were there or guys who was getting traded over. Tex is like, you know, Craig knows this offense better than anybody. But the NBA was, you know, like, is he still on this Muslim thing? And so they was worried and concerned. But Tex is like, I'm not coming back, Phil. I'm sitting on that bench unless Craig Hodges is sitting there with me. So he came back. Tex Winter came back and he brought Craig Hodges with him. So Craig can go out there and yell. And he's like, I can't go out there and be yelling at plays and getting the players. My thing is I could draw it up and he can run it down. Tex Winter in drawing up plays was essential. He was something else. No, I mean that's done. I mean Colin Cowherd situation is done. He's locked into a deal, multi-year contract, multi-millions. His deal is solidified. He's with Fox Sports 1. They are not letting Colin Cowherd go nowhere. But do they like him? Hell no, they don't. Would you stand a guy who basically is in your way? You wouldn't be able to stand him at all. You're like, I can't stand this guy. All he does is stand in my way. I'm trying to be successful and I can't because this guy's in my way. It's just common sense. Christine Leahy couldn't wait to get off the hurt, right? She wanted to lead and start her own show. She wanted to do her own thing. She didn't feel Colin had her back against LeVar Ball, and they just hooting it up. And Colin's looking like you got to have thicker skin to be in this game. Now, Christine Leahy has a big long list of names, on her book. And they gave her a show. Gil was on that show. But they gave her her own show. And they wanted to see it fail. So they wouldn't say, hey, we discriminated against you in any way, shape, or form. We're going to give you your own show. And Joy Taylor moved over there and got the job. Colin was like, I didn't know you wanted the job. But yeah, if you want the job, go right on ahead. Colin looked at them boobs and said, oh, those boobs is going to be on display. Ain't no way in the world. I would not want them boobs on my show. That is amazing. Yes, yes, and double yes. Them boobs is going to be on full alert. He was yes, 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 3. Yeah. He was not going to let that go away at all. That's what I'm talking about. Sticking to the G code, yeah. Most of these people don't really understand like how the needle is moved in sports and how they get to the next level. It could be a person you interview at the right time, and that'll take you to a whole nother mark of viewership, and you stay somewhere in that category. So for most of the people that's in entertainment, they start to get it. If I want to excel at what I'm doing, I need to definitely be progressive in what I'm pushing going forward. Well, other people had like March of a Different Drum. That's a whole nother thing, If you could see things the way it is designed for you to see it, then you have a certain knack, a certain gift, a certain pizzazz, right? Now, what you don't possess is a mind for BS, you know? Nobody has time for that. The world is too small to let garbage influence them. That's what I think. Yes, my top 100 players. I probably made one mistake on the list. I think I forgot to put Steve Nash. But it's not egregious. It's like anybody that get last off. But I think I'm happy with my decision. He's like a two-time MVP is not on the list. That is correct. I never felt Nash was a two-time MVP. I felt he was a solid player and he had enough skills to be in the conversation for top 100, but it's only 100 buys. I mean, what you supposed to do? I would love for someone to actually be real one time and just tell people the truth and give them the schematics and let them see the numbers. The game is fickle, B. It gets sour like a pickle, B. You know the rules. So, yeah, straight like that. So I'm out. Love, peace, and hair grease. Shouts out to Kwame Brown Bus Life. Don't forget to go to the Patreon. Right? We got the jobs up there. Now we gonna see who does what. Okay? We done showed y'all where to get the jobs. The jobs is hiring, everything. We gonna see who got it. Alright? I'm out. Deuces.